Grand evening, everyone. It is Wednesday, July 1st, 2026, and this is the total kinetic phase of World War III, Week 18, Midweek edition, as it is the midweek now of Week 18. This is initially a live stream recording that started at 20 hours and 10 minutes in the evening Central Daylight Time. I'm Phil, the owner of this channel and this X page that you're looking at, and it will be posted here on X and on my YouTube channel and other places more privately, and a Facebook page I created very recently. That's Phil Prepper01 on Facebook. I made a dedicated Facebook page to share this out and talk about things on there as well. That should really help with the channel growth and conversations, all sorts of things to do with preparedness, news, and geopolitics, all things like that, all things relevant that we talk about. We have a lot to talk about here tonight. Trying to figure out where we'll start. So I did get a lot of news here together. Let's see. So we'll start here at the bottom by Douglas McGregor. So we had a second vessel that was struck in the Strait of Hormuz. And then, shortly after that, the U.S. conducted strikes on Iran in retaliation. There was also multiple attacks launched by Iran on U.S. targets all the same day. So I would say the MOU has collapsed. There's no peace deal. None of that really going on. So no MOU. That was like pointless, some kind of propaganda for the markets, like good news for the markets. President Trump, he put a post about a meeting, which we'll talk about soon. He put a post up recently, like the minute before or after the markets opened. They're manipulating the markets with the news. And President Trump is single-handedly trying to keep down the price of oil right now while he still can before it absolutely skyrockets. He's trying to keep it down single-handedly. So, some reason when he speaks and says things, he keeps say the price of oil down for a time. Some reason the markets believe a lot of what he's saying. They use that news to keep it down. Before we get into him further, before we get into talking about him further, so there's been some kind of uprising in Iraq. Iraq also launched an operation targeting Iraqi politicians loyal to Iran. Iraq and Iran, they've had a very tense rivalry and bad relations between them for many, many years. I think there's further news on Iraq we'll get into as well. Though next here, uh, right at the bottom, also from First Squawk, there was 1,000 additional deaths on June 27th or 28th since Wednesday, the Wednesday around then, due to the heat wave. So I said there are thousands of deaths from heat is absolutely surprising, catastrophic, and a historic loss. I mean, they have no HVAC central air in most of Europe. They just have AC, or the buildings are built in a certain way where air flows through them well. Um, a lot of them just open windows and go to beaches and in the water somewhere to stay cool. So thousands of people have died in Europe. And Poland, as you can see there from the insider paper and a weather service, Poland, they broke their heat record at 40.5 degrees Celsius in some part of Poland. I forget the specific part, it's a difficult name, though that record was broken there. So all of Europe had absolutely historic heat there, and thousands of people died and are dying from heat over there in Europe. Very surprising and interesting that they haven't put central air as much into their houses and buildings. They again, they just mainly open windows and get in water over there in Europe. And this was an interesting post someone put up. I found it interesting, so I put it up myself. And it's much like Thomas Massey said there. I think he's a representative in Congress. What is the most dangerous threat to liberty in America? There's Russia 1%, China 3%, Israel 63%, the US government 33%, a close second. And I said personally, Israel, Islam, religion, China, and then the other enemies. So, very accurate, all that there. Not so much liberty, it's those are really threats to the entire world and humanity itself. Now, Iran at the bottom here, also from BRICS News, Iran demands full Israeli withdrawal from Lebanon as part of the final deal with the U.S., which the deal, the MOU has collapsed. There's likely no deal that'll ever happen now like that unless Iran or the US and Israel or Israel surrender. So there's not going to be a peace deal unless one side surrenders, likely unconditionally. President Trump from the start said the only thing he'll accept from Iran is an unconditional surrender. Israel will not be withdrawing from Lebanon. They've said that they will keep their troops in southern Lebanon permanently. So Israel is not withdrawing from Lebanon, especially southern Lebanon. And there's been bombing back and forth between Israel and Lebanon continuously for days, on and off. Also, another obvious sign of total escalation and not a deal coming up or what the mainstream media keeps pushing. The U.S. military logistics in West Asia have surged past the scale of the 2003 Iraq War. American air activity has accelerated sharply over the last 10 days, marking an unprecedented regional mobilization. So, the highest U.S. military logistics movements in, what was that, 23 years? So, there's no de-escalation. The U.S. is clearly very much so preparing more for further intensification in this war to continue, especially on the Middle Eastern fronts. You can see it there. It's a time lapse. All those planes going back and forth. Not sure why they said West Asia. A lot of it looks to have passed over Europe and Romania. Um, that's a lot of plane, a lot of aerial activity. Just playing one more time there. It's a lot. So total preparation happening for total intensification, especially clearly on the Middle Eastern fronts. Also, another clear sign of total escalation and intensification. This here at the bottom from Newswire. Israel is preparing for the immediate resumption of military operations against Iran. That was from 2 days ago, June 29th. So Israel is preparing to resume full military operations against Iran, that strikes and so on. There's not going to be any peace in the way the mainstream media has been pushing. Once again, it will only end when one side surrenders, and it likely has to be unconditionally. Also, this here from Douglas McGregor and other sources. The Iranian president says no concessions with the United States under any circumstances. So they're not going to concede or surrender under any circumstances. That's what the Iranian president is currently saying right now. Now, the US president, Donald Trump, he said that I think he wanted to have a meeting in Qatar, and I think he tried to time that right around market open for the stock market and the markets. So he tried to time that like perfectly and said that there is going to be a meeting in Doha, Qatar. And Qatar has now said, this here at the bottom, Qatar says no direct U.S.-Iran talks to take place in Doha. So Qatar telling the truth there for that. Now, this is pretty funny. So the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu declares he wants to end U.S. aid to Israel, calling it like welfare. So the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu doesn't want to get any more welfare-like payments from the U.S. So that's pretty crazy. For some time, the U.S. has apparently been aiding Israel in a welfare type of way when we could be handing that out to, especially focusing it more to homeless veterans and people who really need it. We've just been giving money, especially taxpayer money, has been going to Israel for quite some time. Now, Netanyahu out in the open saying that he wants that ended. It's not necessary, according to him. It's what's really funny about that is a lot of the Hasidic Jewish people, they do get a lot of welfare and they use a lot of loopholes to to live in like apartments, and they build these huge families, and there's entire cities full of, I think, mainly Hasidic, and I think it's like just them Hasidic Jewish people, and they use a lot of welfare things and loopholes, and they have a lot of children, then they get thousands of dollars doing that. So Netanyahu's rejecting the welfare-like payments now that the U.S. has been giving them for likely a very long time. He's not one of the Hasidic Jewish people, though. It's likely not even like welfare as much. It's some kind of financial aid to aid the people of Israel, and Netanyahu's rejecting that. He wants to have the people there have less, which is interesting. Though the U.S. shouldn't have been giving them welfare-like payments for years anyway. So that's good that that is ending. Hopefully it does. We need to keep investing and keep everything here, we shouldn't be exporting more oil than any other country when oil is one of the most needed things at this time as well. So these are a couple other pieces of interesting news. And then I have some to read off. So this could be good for biosynthetic organs and things like that, especially potential bodies for AI. Scientists say they have, for the first time, constructed a synthetic cell from non-living chemical components that can feed, grow, and replicate just like a natural cell. So an absolute breakthrough there. And then President Trump wants everyone to be like as distracted as possible. Um, he told the new intelligence chief, Bill Pulte, to declassify whatever you want. So he wants this person to declassify most things so they could be continuous distractions from everything that we talk about and what's really going on. There's a whole lot of distractions right now. Um, Even at this time, the U.S. is playing, I think, Bosnia in the World Cup, one of those games. And then we have the 250th anniversary of the country coming up, which will be quite a distraction in itself. Uh, the entire country is going to be distracted this weekend. I expect a lot to happen this weekend. Definitely carry if you can. Be hyper vigilant. Do not go into major cities and very crowded places and places that are likely targets. If you have to, be sure to be out of those areas very quickly. Some other news I'm going to read off. It's not on there. Though it is reported that China has unveiled a truck-mounted drone catapult. It's a They publicly demonstrated a new truck-mounted electromagnetic aircraft launch system designed to launch drones from modular catapults in remote areas, islands, or civilian ships. That's been done for the very first time. The new system successfully launched an unmanned aerial vehicle from a modular catapult constructed entirely from multiple linked transport trucks. So the unique launch system utilizes three or more specifically modified heavy trucks that seamlessly connect to form a rigid linear catapult track. This modular engineering allows the entire electromagnetic launch system to be rapidly driven to a location, assembled in the field for immediate use, and subsequently dismantled and relocated to avoid enemy counterstrikes. By eliminating the need for fixed infrastructure, the mobile system drastically increases the survivability and unpredictability of Chinese drone operations. So they have a moving, mobile, truck-mounted drone catapult system now. That's from Ragex. Also from them, Israel integrates lasers with the Iron Dome system that they have there. Their Iron Dome system, they integrated lasers into the system. Israel successfully combined its new Iron Beam laser system with Iron Dome in a joint exercise, moving closer to a lower cost integrated air defense layer against drones and rockets. So they added a laser system into it. Let's see here. The Defense Ministry announced Monday the successful completion of a joint live-fire exercise combining the new Iron Beam laser system with the combat-proven Iron Dome interceptor network. Operating under a single command structure, the integrated system simulated a variety of aerial threats. While they have video footage that focus primarily on downing unmanned drones, authorities there confirmed the combined network is fully designed to engage incoming rockets, motors, and cruise missiles. So, the recent exercise marks a critical milestone in Israel's efforts to build a highly resilient missile defense architecture. Let's see here. This is also further about the financial gap between the two systems is staggering. A standard Iron Dome interceptor missile costs approximately $80,000. In sharp contrast, a single Iron Beam engagement consumes only a few dollars worth of electricity, with defense officials estimating the cost at roughly $3 per shot. Directed energy weapons also eliminate the logistical strains associated with traditional ammunition. They do not require manufacturing cycles after every engagement, need fewer personnel, and can fire continuously as long as electrical power remains available. So there's its weakness. There's the directed energy weapons' current weakness right now. If they are not EMP proofed, they could be taken out by detonating either a small EMP in the area that it is, or detonating a nuclear weapon high above and causing an EMP effect and wiping out the power grid in, say, Israel. And they're going to try to make a Golden Dome system here in the U.S. That's being worked on now. Uh, it covers a lot of there's a smaller system so far that covers a lot of the DC area. Uh, but it can be destroyed if they simply take out the power that's connected to it. So an EMP could destroy a lot of the directed energy weapon systems. That's the weakness as for that. though there's not many other counters besides an EMP, so it's very effective. Once again, as it's stated, directed energy weapons can take down ballistic missiles that could be armed with nuclear warheads. They could take down all kinds of missiles and even motors, which are smaller weapons, smaller explosive weapons. That's what motors are usually ground launched. They're put into a tube and then they're launched at their targets from a distance, not very far. Though these directed energy weapon systems could be very accurate. They're laser accurate. So one of the only ways to destroy them, to get around it, is an EMP. So we'll see exactly how these directed energy weapons are countered precisely by the enemies. That'll be very interesting to see how they're countered. One of the only ways that I could see is an EMP. So very interesting. The Iron Dome system now has a laser directed energy weapon system integrated into it. So it became much more difficult to get past Israel's defenses. That's a very strong counter to Iran and their missiles and drones. The directed energy weapons could shoot down likely 90, 100%, I would say 100% of anything they send. If it's very accurate, it will be 100% of anything Iran or other enemies send will be shot down. Then again, if one of them is a nuclear weapon and they shoot that down, uh, it'll cause an EMP effect and that'll disable the directed energy weapon system. And then a following nuclear weapon or missiles would be able to get through after the more conventional ammunition runs out. That applies to there and the Golden Dome system. Same thing. Very useful, very advanced systems. So the price of oil is down. It's $67 a barrel right now, though it will skyrocket as more escalation and intensification happens, as more military operations occur, especially in the Middle East. I expect a lot to happen this weekend coming up. It will not be, I don't think it'll be a quiet weekend at all as for that. So definitely be hyper vigilant, be very aware of your surroundings when going to celebrations. Avoid highly populated areas and major cities. A whole lot could happen this weekend, especially as it is the historic 250th anniversary of this country, the United States. A lot of things, even the US government and President Trump, could take full advantage of the fact that so many are distracted. And huge things, I expect, will happen this weekend. So please keep on preparing. Be prepared for that, especially. Prepare physically, mentally, and spiritually. This has gone on for over 30 minutes now. I try to keep it at about 30 minutes. So until the next time, likely Friday sometime. We'll see about Friday. Until the next time, around the same time, love, light, and blessings to you all.